Hey, what's going on, you guys? Well, as you guys saw in the intro of this video, you guys saw I was writing down on a notebook, and you might have saw what I had at the very top of it, which was lawn care game plan 2025. Now, in today's video, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going over why I feel like it's so important, especially for people who are just getting into lawn care or wanting to get more serious about their lawns, why I think having a game plan is so important. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get it started. Before we go ahead and get started, I gotta say this real quick. If you guys do enjoy watching my content and you find my videos valuable, please go ahead, smash that like button for me. It only takes a quick second. Very quick, it's easy, it's simple, and it's free for that matter. So go ahead, smash that like button. As I always continue to say in the outros of my videos, it really helps me out. It lets me know what you guys are enjoying on the channel, and it kind of gives me an idea of what kind of content I can produce going forward, what you guys will like and not like. So smash that like button for me, show the support on this video. Now let's go ahead and get into the main part, which is talking about why I feel like lawn care game plan is so important. Now, let me ask you guys this. Do you feel like golf courses like Augusta National, Bay Hill, the Players, even Waste Management has gotten pretty good? Also, I'll include baseball fields in there. Do you feel like baseball fields like Yankee Stadium, Fenway Park, Petco Park, just to name a few, do you think that they don't follow some sort of game plan that they have mapped out pretty much for the whole entire year? They do, and I tell you they do, because without having a game plan, there's no way in heck they would even get remotely close to making those places look as good as they are. So why I feel like having a lawn care game plan is important is because it gives you obviously basically a map out, a blueprint, or as I like to call it, a game plan of how you might want to address your lawns. Now, for most people, a lot of people, your average homeowner is just gonna mow their lawn maybe once a week or once every other week and throw out fertilizer kind of just whenever they feel like it. Whenever it might look kind of brown, they might just throw out fertilizer and they leave it at that, they call it good. Not saying there's anything wrong with that, but you're not taking full advantage of what your lawn could truly look like as if you were to map out a game plan and follow it. So with that being said, taking full advantage of what your lawn could look like is doing exactly that, is taking a game plan, writing out a game plan and following it. Now, the reason I say this is because what I explained earlier, that, you know, golf courses, certain golf courses, I won't even say certain, most golf courses, most baseball fields, everything else, they follow some sort of game plan to make their golf courses and their ballparks look very nice. The reason for that is because lawns need attention. They need certain nutrients. They need all this sorts of stuff to look good. And if you're not having a game plan mapped out to follow to obviously take advantage and make your lawn look the best it can be, you're missing out on the boat. I mean, I used to work on baseball fields, as I've told you guys in the past. We had a game plan to follow. I went ahead, I mapped out a game plan last year as well for my lawns. And I mean, as you guys saw, they turned out pretty dang good. I could tell you, I got a lot of compliments from neighbors saying of how it looked fake. It looks so green. It almost doesn't look real. That is because I'm following a game plan. I'm taking literally what every other, you know, big, you know, whether it's a ballpark, whether it's a golf course you really like, have a picture of like, wow, I wonder what they do to make it look so good. It's this right here. I tell you, it is this right here. Yes, granted, some of the stuff, they might have to add certain things in here and there, or they might have to change it up a little bit throughout the season or throughout the year, but most importantly, they have it already mapped out to go ahead and do it. What I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna go over my lawn care game plan with you guys. Gonna go ahead and basically name off all the stuff that I'm gonna be doing this year to obviously try and make my lawns the best that they can be. Gonna go over that. What I will say is these right here that I have listed right here, this section, I would say those are by far the most important. And then the ones towards the bottom, I'm not saying that they aren't important. They are just as important, but they are some things I did last year, and there are a couple things that I didn't do last year that I am gonna do this year to obviously help improve my lawns and make my lawns that much better. So let's go ahead and jump into my lawn care game plan for this year. You're reading this off from top to bottom. First is soil test. As you guys saw a couple videos ago, I went ahead and got my soil test knocked out for this season or for this year. That's pretty important because when you do your soil test, obviously it's going to give you a breakdown of how your soil is truly doing in its current state. So for instance, I went ahead and I shared my soil test results with you guys as well. It showed that I'm lacking in nitrogen and I'm also lacking in potassium. So I'm okay on phosphorus. I don't need any phosphorus. Actually, my phosphorus is pretty high. So I know based off of doing that soil test that the fertilizers I'm going to be using for this year are going to have no phosphorus in them at all whatsoever. So the only way to obviously know what fertilizers to use to help, improve your lawns and improve your soil is doing a soil test. That way you can get that information and that breakdown of how your soil is truly doing. Also, it shows you your pH. The pH in my lawns were okay. They are trending a little high. They're not at the high range of things, but they are trending higher. So that is something I will keep an eye on. And if I have to, maybe, throw something in there to go ahead and drop that pH a little bit. But as of right now, they're doing okay. On to number two. Number two, I have Pre-Emergent. As you guys saw, I went ahead and already knocked out my Pre-Emergent application for the start of this season. So I'm super happy and stoked I got that down. Pre-Emergent, as I stated in that video, that it's very important. If you want a relatively weed-free lawn or little to no weeds in your lawn, you definitely need to be using Pre-Emergent. It gives you that barrier to obviously stop weeds from germinating and weed seeds from germinating inside your lawn to obviously where they're visible. So if you want that, you definitely need to be using Pre-Emergent for your lawns. That way you can enjoy looking at a nice lawn with relatively no weeds in it. Now, moving on down to fertilizer. I already have my fertilizers mapped out for this year. Basically, it was pretty simple and easy for me actually, considering what I received with my soil test results. I can honestly stick with the same exact fertilizer that I was using last year, which was 1806. So considering I don't need any phosphorus, I'm gonna use fertilizers that don't have phosphorus in them. There's no point to add more phosphorus if I don't need it, right? So 1806 I'm going to be using again this year, and I am thinking about incorporating, as I stated in my soil test video, soil test results video to be specific, I am thinking about incorporating some ammonium sulfate this year just to add a little extra nitrogen in there. Just got to be careful that I don't throw and overload my lawns with too much nitrogen. Also, I am spoon feeding this year, and that is something important as well that I included here in my game plan with my fertilizing part, that I am spoon feeding this year as well. So take that into consideration too. After that, PGR. Now, PGR stands for Plant Growth Regulator. I am going to be using that again this year on my lawns. I found it obviously very useful to use. That way you're not mowing a crap ton. So if you want to, mainly what I would say is PGR is used for people who are cutting their grass pretty short, like 3/4 of an inch and below. PGR is really, really good for that, because what it does is it basically stunts the growth of the grass a little bit to where you don't have to mow as frequently as if you didn't use PGR. So PGR, basically, it's just, as in the name, plant growth regulator. It's regulating the growth of the grass to where you don't have to mow as frequently. So I'm gonna be using that again, and I did use Permaxis as my PGR last year. I'm gonna be using Permaxis again this year for my PGR. So moving on down after that, I have insecticide. I'm gonna probably be putting that out here pretty soon, because I did have a grub issue mainly out in my front yard lawn. So I'm gonna make sure I go ahead and get that out as well again this year, just to make sure I don't have any issues with grubs eating the roots of my lawn and my lawn turning into looking like crap because grubs are eating it. So insecticide is very important. If you know you deal with issues with grubs, armyworms, and stuff along those lines, make sure you include insecticide as well. Now moving on down to fungicide. Fungicide for me is pretty important. I never got the chance because I wasn't really putting out lawn care content like that. I did have an issue here in my backyard lawn where when we first put down the Seashore Paspalum back here, we did have a fungus issue. I don't know exactly what it was, whether it was a bad case of brown patch or large patch. Whatever it was really bad. I mean, it took almost like the whole left side of my lawn turned orange, and it had relatively no like blades of grass at all. So for me, fungicide is very important. I'm going to be putting out preventative fungicide applications again this year to make sure the risk of that fungicide coming back, or any fungicide for that matter, popping up, is going to be a lot lower. It's important, obviously, because no one wants to have a disease in their lawn to where it just makes it look ugly. So fungicide for me is very important. Like I said, I want to stay ahead of that. I want to get ahead of that, and putting down a fungicide application is obviously just going to create that barrier to where fungus and all that sorts of stuff doesn't want to pop up in my lawns. Aeration. Aeration is something that I did not do last year that I am going to do this year, mainly because I have this rock hard clay soil, and I tell you what, it loves to just create compaction like no other. That's just how it is. That's just the nature of the soil. It loves to get compacted, and the best way to obviously help relieve some of that compaction and break it up is by aeration. So aeration, gonna be punching holes in my lawn and obviously have a lot more air get into the soil and help when I do you know, top dressing or anything along that sorts. Gonna help get, you know, nutrients into the soil faster, and obviously into the root zone quicker as well. So moving on down to compost. I did do a compost top dressing as well. I made a video on it. I am going to do that again this year. My lawns really loved it. They looked really good too, especially once, you know, the compost got watered in, you know, and the lawns really soaked it up and did very well. Honestly, if you haven't done compost top dressing, I would really highly recommend it. The lawns, what I could say, at least for my case, my lawn really loved it, and it thrived quite a bit afterwards, and it really just made it look that much healthier and greener. So I'm going to be doing compost again, compost top dressing this year. Sand, I did do a video about sand leveling. I am probably going to do that again this year as well in some spots. I don't know if I'll do it throughout my whole entire lawns like I did last year, but I am going to be doing sand top dressing / leveling work again this year in certain areas. I know that for sure. So sand, now the reason why you use sand is because it has a better foundation. It obviously doesn't really wash away, and it just works out better for leveling. It has a lot better foundation, a lot more sturdier than what you would if you just put regular soil down. So sand in that case we'll be using again. Biochar, now this is something that I didn't use last year that I am planning to use this year. I have read up on it. I've also seen other videos and stuff, people talking about biochar, you know, with how it benefits their lawn, how it makes them more greener, all that sorts of stuff. And obviously you're throwing, you know, more natural and organic material into your soil, which is always good. So I'm going to be trying that out this year. The stuff that I'm looking into using is more of a compost biochar mixture. So it'll be my first time using that stuff in specific. So I'll be curious to see how it works for my lawn. But yeah, that's something I am including this year as well. The last thing for me would be turf raking or scarifying my lawn. I could do both, but I'm definitely going to be turf raking again this year for my lawns. I did do it last year. It really, you know, obviously took out a lot of that dead material that's just sitting there in like the grass layer of your lawn, stuff that you can't physically see, that's kind of below the main top layer of your lawn, that's just sitting there, that, you know, is blocking water through getting through. It's blocking fertilizer from working its way down in there. It's best to obviously go ahead and get that stuff out there. So turf raking slash scarifying is going to be another thing that I do this year to obviously just keep my lawns looking the best that they can be. I did do scarifying last year as well, mainly because I was dealing with a floating issue in my lawns, to where I was mowing, and as I like to call it, my mower was crab walking. So the scarifying really helped with that. I did do, you know, it does get quite invasive. It does kind of create a bit of damage to your lawn, but once it heals back from that, it turned out really nice actually, and my mower started to track very well. It didn't have that floaty feeling or crab walking feeling. So that is going to be something as well that I most likely do again this year. Until the last couple things that are obviously important as well, that you're going to be doing pretty often, that I feel like is a given. I just put it on here just because. For me, mowing, obviously, I'm going to be mowing 2 to 3 times a week when my lawns are actively growing. Right now, as I stated, my lawns, I mean, not really, my season hasn't really got underway yet, so I'm not really mowing my lawns currently. They're still dormant a little bit. They probably won't fully come out of dormancy till like maybe mid-April, but I will start mowing here probably come like mid-March time frame. So I'll probably only be mowing like once a week at that point, and then as the season gets underway, it'll be 2 to 3 times a week as far as mowing goes. For my watering schedule, what I will say is my watering schedule tends to vary. I usually have it set up to water every other day, but the thing is I don't really flood my lawn, meaning like a lot of people, sometimes they'll only water their lawns maybe like twice a week and they let it go for like, you know, almost a half an hour. I don't do that. For me, I like to almost water my lawn every other day or every 2 days, but I like to give it more, or I should say I like to give it less but more frequently. So almost the same thing as if I was spoon feeding fertilizer. Like I like to basically just, you know, give my lawn little bits of water that it needs, and then, you know, just keep it at that. Like I don't like flooding my lawn unless if I see that for some reason it's looking pretty dang dry, then I will kind of up my watering times. But that's about it really. I don't go crazy with my watering. Alrighty, you guys, well, that's pretty much it for today's video. As you guys saw, I went ahead and went over my whole entire lawn care game plan for this year. What I will say is, I know I didn't go into really detailed depth as far as when it is ideal to do those certain things, as far as like putting out your pre-emergent. When is it ideal to do your soil test? When is it ideal to go ahead and aerate your lawn? I know I didn't go into crazy depth like that. Honestly, I really could have, but would have made this video that much longer. It probably would have been a 30-minute long video, just based off that alone. So I didn't want to do that. What I wanted to mainly do is just kind of give you guys the gist of how I approach my lawns, how I obviously go ahead and map out a game plan to make my lawns the best that I can make them. So that's what I wanted to make this video about, was just mainly obviously why it's important for you to go ahead and map out a game plan for your lawn. If you're just starting out and you know, take lawn care more seriously, that's why I wanted to go ahead and make this video for you guys, just to show you how much truly does go into making a lawn look great. So that's what this video was about. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you guys did enjoy watching this video, please go ahead, smash that thumbs up button for me. As I always continue to say, it really helps me out. It lets me know what you guys are enjoying on the channel. After doing that, smash that subscribe button down below and hit the bell notifications. That way you can get notified for when I upload new videos. I got my social medias in the description below. With all that being said, it's your boy CPMs. Peace out, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.